Just a little bit about our organization. We're actually based in Detroit, as George said. We operate 6 venues in the city of Detroit with 3 professional sport teams: Detroit Pistons, Detroit Red Wings, and Detroit Tigers. So those 2 venues hold between 20 and 50,000, and then we also own and operate 3 amphitheaters that range from 8,000 to about 16,000, and then the Fox Theater. In addition to that, we also have 2 casinos, one in Atlantic City and one in Detroit. So we average about 600 to 700 events per year. Those crowds will range from as small as 5,000 to 50,000 for a concert, and hopefully 50,000 for a World Series this year to come. Both of our professional sports venues are DHS Safety Act certified, which is very important. And as you saw in Gary's presentation, they're in the process of obtaining certification for their modeling platform. But I also think it's important that we selected them because they actually developed that platform with a lot of input from DHS, and it's a DHS best practice. One of the things that George asked me to touch on is, do we have anything from a regulatory environment or a league perspective that actually guides what we do from a crowd evacuation perspective? It's a very good point from George's perspective, but literally all of the leagues have specific policies on evacuation drills, specific scenarios that we have to address, and also the amount of different drills and tabletop exercises that we have to perform. So from a professional sports perspective, that includes 2 tabletop exercises a year, one of which must involve crowd evacuation, and then one on one of their key topics. So that could be anything from, as Gary showed it in his presentation, a bomb-related evacuation, and that part of his presentation was actually blowing up one of our entrance points, if you will, and how would we evacuate? Well, we could model that through his modeling software. From a communication standpoint, both our guests, our colleagues, and the police officers can all communicate during an emergency through a platform called Titan HST. So all Major League Baseball venues, and we happen to use it in all of our venues, use a common emergency communication platform that not only will communicate across cell phones and radios, but also computers and other devices. It allows us to create specialized groups of response folks during a major event. We actually get to, I will say, practice evacuations, because normally it's not something that you can do with a crowd. And in our case, we're an open air ballpark, and our 3 amphitheaters are obviously open air. So weather is always a problem in Michigan, particularly in the summertime. And routinely, we have shelter in place and or evacuations from those open air facilities. And utilizing Titan SST to communicate to both guests and colleagues is critical to that process. Also, all of our outdoor venues, including the ballpark, participate in the National Weather Group's Storm Ready and are certified from that perspective. The arena is actually modeled through in-control modeling software. So virtually every different kind of scenario, from an active shooter to potentially a bomb threat to just, quite frankly, an emergency condition that may exist in the arena. It could be an ammonia disbursement from our ice making facility or what have you. All of that has been modeled. We also use modeling to actually drive revenue in different ways. So how do we do that? Modeling, for example, a concert floor gives us an alternative way of working with the fire marshal's office that, for example, be able to put more people on the floor than the traditional way of formatting that, which is essentially 7 square feet per person. So we use modeling to be able to show what a floor can actually handle, what an evacuation would look like, what the load in and the load out would look like. All of those things we can actually simulate through that in-control modeling. It's an outstanding tool. And if you paid close attention to Gary's presentation, you can actually see that all of the layers of the arena in our CAD drawings have actually been loaded into that format so that we can literally model anything that we want to model.